Hi, Mike. This is Tia from South Africa, and we are charting in AnCHARTica, and we welcome Mike from Canada. Mike, welcome.
Hi, Tia. It's great to talk to you again. It's been a while. As you mentioned, this is Mike from Canada, on my Gann journey for the rest of my life.
Oh, that sounds perfect. It sounds like me.
Yeah, it's an interesting light bulb that has switched on for me ever since I discovered Gann. I'm forever on the journey to try and decipher all the mysteries that's before me now.
Oh, no, that's perfect. But I think you're mastering it quite well. I see you are recently been named the top author for Tesla. Well done.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock. I received a message about that, and I thought, well, that can't be. I've only been on TV for, I think, 2 years now, but there it is, lo and behold. So I think that has to do with the fact that I'm picking up a rather strong following of individuals who are interested in WD Gann and how it can be played not only into the stock market, but many cycles through life itself.
No, I'm pretty sure it's got more to do with people being particularly interested in Tesla and you being very accurate about it.
Yeah, I recently discovered a time cycle because the one thing that resonated with me with WD Gann was he kept, or it's been always said, that price is not as important as time. In fact, I think the direct quote is, time is more important than price. So I thought, I've got to figure out these time cycles where price is scheduled to turn, and I found one cycle that seemed to be responding quite well with Tesla over the last little while. But there's a couple of events that have me guessing that there's going to be an introduction of other time cycles in the very near future.
Okay, now that's good. Share with us that that famous chart of yours.
Yeah, so I guess if I bear with me while I learn how to screen share again.
No
So we've got the Tesla here, and TV's already got a buy signal happening, and we've got a long-term dip and a potential return back up. But I have a feeling this is going to be short-lived, so I'll just go to, I guess it would be full featured chart here. Slow internet. Are you seeing this?
I'm seeing it.
Okay, very good.
Looks
So
like
I've erased quite a few pivot points that were happening as we were going down.
Yeah.
Because the screen was starting to get quite noisy, and actually I could probably delete this fan. So I was playing with the pivot points with this blue line, and it was resonating quite well. And then the yellow, I was trying to figure out if this is going to be a longer swinging pivot. So technically this yellow would not be pivoting like that. It would actually be stretched out going forward. So we're kind of heading into this wedge, and we are testing, or we tested this double top, and now we're doing a breakthrough. But this is actually against the trend that I was thinking. So this may be a bit inorganic and the introduction of a new cycle, because I was expecting a pullback on the 15th.
Yeah.
Now, my next swing date I've got is actually the 22nd of April. So it could be that this little microcycle will end once we get around the 650 range on the 15th, and then we'll start pulling back again. But you can see how now we've broken out of this triangle pattern,
Yeah.
and we're pushing up. So I've got a couple positions in Tesla, not a lot. I was expecting a pullback, and I still feel as though I'm expecting a pullback. And if we were to,
And that if they pull back to 444, is that what you say?
well, I was hoping down around the 400 range.
Yeah.
And like if we, just by squaring this range here, I guess maybe we can go full screen. We're just coming out of the cycle and we're about to hit the 0.5. And this was probably the most important range that Gann often spoke about, was the 0.5. When a stock finds its highest resistance on a bounce, it would be around the 0.5. So if we could break through and then find support on the 0.5, we could say that this pattern has done a right angle and is continuing on whatever trajectory it's going on. So I'm not as good as many comments have been said on my account. I'm a bit humbled every time I
You're
hear.
excellent, man. Don't get
Well,
humble with me.
I'm still a student in this, and I'm still trying to figure it out. You know, like there's a mathematical reason why this happened here, and I don't know how to calculate that yet. But I did see this happening that day, and I said, I believe I posted a chart. I said, you must set your stops ASAP because I think we're going down. And the very next day, it actually started crashing. So I received quite a few messages of people saying that they were quite happy that I called that, and they pulled some of their position out.
Okay.
And then I called down here somewhere. I can't remember the exact number, but I thought that we were going to start getting a bounce up. I think maybe it was like the third day.
Yeah.
Because it looked like this was going to continue. And I said, don't trust the third day of a possible bounce. It's usually going to be different. And this candle actually changed the direction. And then this pivot point I had forecasted, it actually came out 1 day later. So out of a year, 1 day equals 1 degree. I was 1 degree off on the time schedule. But you can see how these two candles were side by side. You could still recover from your position. And then the same thing. So you can see what I'm talking about with regards to the time cycle being off, right? Like I called this one, but then it came in a day later here, and then it came in a day earlier here, and the pivot again a day earlier from here. But it was like a little micro pivot. So I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen. I think this is going to get a lot of people caught out, and then maybe we'll start to correct back on the next pivot coming down. So the next question going into the future is, is Tesla going to pivot back down to within this wedge and then change this triangle that we've broken out of into an upward channel? Can you see that forming?
Yes.
Yeah, so it could be that this leg is completed and now this leg is going to be the future leg. But we absolutely have to break the 650 range in order for that to continue. Because if we don't, then we're going to get into some Elliott waving where, this is the A wave,
Yes.
and then the B wave, and then the C wave down. So I'm not very good at Elliott waving. I just got a brief introduction to it. But the key to successful forecasting is using many different systems to see if they concur with each other. So it looks like, actually, I just saw some resonance here where it looks like we've got this angle of repetition starting to form. So that's that's actually quite interesting. So fundamentally with Tesla, the thing that I find great about Tesla is, it's not just electric cars.
Yes.
Tesla is a movement into the future. It's science fiction coming true. Musk has so many different visions of our future that seem quite possible. And although he may not agree with a lot of the opinions that are out there with regards to how to proceed with technology,
Yes.
uh, he has the most amazing mind. So he's gone global. He's opened the factory in China. And this is actually quite fortunate for him because, as you know, with regards to COVID
Yes.
running rampant around the world, the curve has been flattened in China, or they've
Yes.
reached the top of the bell curve. And it looks like production is going to resume. So as far as economy in China, they've got their restart, and North America is just getting introduced to this virus. So, as you can see by the price action, it is reflecting our markets over here. So Tesla has a hedge for the future by setting up in China. So it'll be, I won't say business as usual for Musk, but definitely starting over and getting back to business.
No, that sounds good. And I think you've got it captured well. And I think the trend you've just identified might, just come through and it might keep on going upwards.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested in his space program right now. Not so much for the exploration point of it, but the global communication point.
Yes.
There's talk of him updating. I don't know how many satellites he was planning to put around the world, but I think it has to do with the 5G network and the ability to just globally unify all communication all together. But it sounds like Star Trek every time I talk about him.
Oh, well, I don't know. Him and the French must be in cahoots then, because I see most of the Tesla, most of the 5G communication is now up in France.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting how everything is unfolding. It's getting to the point where it's difficult to follow everything. And if you're taking it from a trading standpoint, you're limited by your exchange. There's certain companies that will not be available to you on your exchange. So you've got to look for a relationship with the technology, which I think is the next wave moving forward. Um, a lot of tech stocks in North America that may be available in Europe and in China. The relationship actually may help them. So you can start looking at certain tech stocks moving into the future as a recovery against the trend, so to speak.
No, that sounds good. No, that sounds good. Thanks, Mike. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share with us on Tesla.
Uh, I, I can't really think of anything that jumps to mind aside from, I'm going to be struggling over the next little while trying to figure out this extra time cycle that Tesla has, but I have a feeling the decision point will be at the 650 range, and if we break through, then we're going to have a V-style recovery. So if you were to compress this, you can see a V-style recovery, and then probably a pullback to the 50% from somewhere within this zone, and then a continuation. So right now things are looking pretty good for Tesla, but it can't last forever. It has to pull back. So I would just suggest that everybody be mindful with regards to their stock. I'm quite bullish on Tesla. I just think I'm expecting a pullback. And ultimately, I was hoping for, the big classic M and then coming back down and testing the double bottom. So as of right now, on a larger time scale, I'm thinking somewhere in the summer we'll probably start testing bottoms again.
Okay, no, that sounds good. At least it's looking positive in a way. If you could call the current economy positive at all, it looks positive in a way for Tesla, and maybe it's worthwhile checking the next bottom and investing in it.
Yeah, even in a bad market, there's still money to be made. It's just that you have to start playing with shorter time frames. So if you're a fundamentalist, Tesla is completely on sale. And once we get back onto the main trend, so if you were to zoom out, you can see that, this just went parabolic. And this was a state of accumulation here before we
Okay.
had a little dip, and then we ran up. And it could be that this might be the new future stage of accumulation before we take off back up again. So I have a feeling the bullish case will be that we do that, is we keep swinging along here. I don't believe in going to the moon anymore. In order for the stock to be quite stable, we've got to stop doing that, because this is going to rob people of a lot of wealth. So once we hit the 650, we'll see a direction. And as you can see here, we've got a higher low. So the pullback will be yet another higher low, and that would confirm the movement to the upside. And obviously we're off to our higher high, so this does look good for Tesla. I was just actually hoping that we would go down a little bit more, but as I said before, time is more important than price, so I'm basically following it the way it goes now.
No, that's perfect, because I think you being out by one day is really not making any difference in any way. And Gann said you can be out by a day. It's really nothing.
Yeah, but he definitely more accurate. I wish I could crack his code. I won't sleep until I do. So this might be a difficult journey, stressful at times, and I have to take breaks. Gann gives me headaches.
No, you just fine being a top author of Tesla, and congratulations once again on that achievement, Mike.
Oh, thank you very much, and I hope everybody ends up quite successful in the market, and hopefully they can pull something they've learned out of Gann.
No, most definitely from what we learned from you, we are better off today than yesterday.
Yeah, my postings on TV is not about forecasting. It's more about showing relationships between price points, and I kind of just want to get the brain juices flowing for certain individuals to look at it and say, wow, there's something there. There's this trend line here, how it lines up with price action, and how it's squared off this bottom, this geometric math that is happening as we go off into the future. I want people to see that and say, if this does happen, what's causing this?
Yeah, obviously it's quite important to know what's causing it, so that you know how to position yourself going forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're just increasing your odds of calculations, right? Like price has just started meeting this angle here. So you have to wonder, are we going to start getting resistance? We're near the end of this cycle. It could be, maybe we'll do a little bit of bouncing till we get to here, and then the trend change will come back down. The thing about Gann, it's probably the only indicator that I use that forecasts the future, as opposed to all the lagging indicators, which basically confirm your suspicions of a trend in a certain direction. Gann kind of pre-programs or pre-forecasts certain areas where price will be arrested and may either slow down or turn. And that's what's fascinating to me about Gann.
Yeah, no, it's really fascinating. And thanks for sharing that with us, Mike. I think let's call it a day. And, you know, we appreciate you and keep on posting your videos. We love you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's good to hear from you.
No, you're doing an excellent job, and it's really, really, you've got such a calm, collected teaching style. We all benefit from watching your videos. Thanks a lot for that.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, take care.